Good evening, everyone. I have 6 o'clock and a quorum of commissioners here, so I will open up tonight's meeting. This is the Mashpee Conservation Commission for Thursday, October 5th, 2023. We're meeting in the required meeting room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. Our meeting tonight is broadcast live on local cable channel 8, and it is also streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website. Before we begin, if you would like to join me with a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For some reason, my mic does not have a condom on it. I don't know what that is. Why did what'd you do? Break it again? Decapitated it? I need a condom.
I'm going to begin tonight's meeting with the public comment. If there is anyone here in the audience that has a comment to make that is for any issues not related to items that we have posted on our agenda, this would be the time. Anyone? It doesn't look like we have anyone here. Dan, is there anybody online? I'm going to come back to the pre- and post-hearing agenda items after our hearings. So I will start by opening up the 6 o'clock hearing for 26 Wheeler Road LLC. This is a proposed removal of 20 infested pitch and white pine trees. Representative is the owner. This hearing was continued from July 27th and August 24th, and we have an additional request tonight to continue the hearing to November 16th at 6 p.m. So I would accept a motion, if there is one, to make that continuance.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second?
Thank you, Aaron. I'll open that up for discussion or questions the commissioners have before I call for a vote. None? This is the third continuance,
Did you say why?
so
I'm sorry.
this is the last continuance.
Yeah, they had some, the property itself, they have some real estate stuff going on, but part of it is they want the RDA done. So he's now getting in line with everything for all the plans to be drawn up for the commission to see for the RDA. So he's needing more time for that because of all the extra stuff that's with the properties.
We should be able to finish this up on the 16th. Okay. Any other further questions or comments? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion passes unanimously. This is the first night I had to look at the clock to make sure I'm not starting early. I'm going to call the 6:03 hearing for 33 Sunset Circle, Kevin and Suzanne Mulgrew, trustees. This is a proposed deck demolition and reconstruction. The representative is Marsh Matters Environmental. This hearing is continued from September 7th to notice of intent, DEP file number 433251. We also have a request tonight to continue this hearing over to October 19th at 6:15. So I would accept a motion for that continuance request.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second?
Thank you, Aaron. Any questions from commissioners on this request before I call for the vote? Hearing none? Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. That motion also carries unanimously. Right on time. Now calling the 6:06 hearing for 0 Cranberry Lane, Chop Chalk Bog, Town of Mashpee. This is a proposed ecological wetland restoration of 6.5 acres of abandoned cranberry bogs. Representative is Horsley Witten Group Incorporated. This is a notice of intent, DEP file number 433254. Good evening, sir.
Good
Can I have
evening,
your name
Paul.
for the record?
Thank you. Neil Price from the Horsley Witten Group. Pleasure to be here with all of you this evening to talk about this exciting project. If you go to the next slide, please, David. So Chopchag bogs are, as you said, a 6.5 acre, two bogs totaling 6.5 acres on the eastern shore of Santuit Pond, as shown here in this USGS topo image on the top, and then on the bottom, an aerial photo of the two bog cells. They are isolated. The bogs were built from formerly isolated wetlands. And when they were built, a hole was, a berm was built between the pond and them, or I should say a connection was built between the pond and the bogs with a berm isolating it in a control structure. They were, to the best of our knowledge, they were formerly completely isolated wetlands with no connection to Santuit Pond. The connection was made for the purpose of cranberry agriculture, something better than a century ago. And the purpose of this project, that the town now owns these bogs. They've been out of production since approximately 2019. And the purpose is to restore them to naturally functioning wetlands similar to those that we believe may have existed prior to their conversion to cranberry farming. So next, please, David. Here's, I talked about the lack of connection, and you can't really see it all here, but here's two old maps, 1893 on the left, where you can't see any bogs shown at all, and then by 1941, the bogs are fully developed, shown on the right. So somewhere in between these two time periods are when this occurred, as is kind of typical across the Cape. The period of the early 20th century was really a lot of cranberry bog development throughout most of the Cape. Next, David, please. Just showing the resource areas. The area is mapped as priority habitat for rare species. That rare species is the eastern box turtle. The cranberry bogs themselves are wetlands by regulatory definition, and everything else is upland in the project area. Next, please. Just a couple of nice shots of what the bogs look like as of, this is about a year ago. Next, please. So one of the big aspects of turning a cranberry bog back into the wetlands that occurred before are what's the right hydrology? Like what is the groundwater at now, and what does the land surface need to be a functioning wetlands? And the reason for that is one of the things that cranberry farming does is every couple of years they add a little bit more sand on top of the bog surface. And as you can imagine, over 100+ years of doing that, you can end up with a fairly significant accumulation of sand. In this case, it's about 1.5 feet. And that's enough to have raised the bog platform high enough that it's not really a wetland anymore in terms of function. So you have to somehow reduce that level. So we start by looking at what the water levels are so that we can figure out what the land surface needs to come down to in order to have naturally functioning wetland habitat there. So these are just showing a bunch of wells we installed, and a map made to show those two contours in teal that say 42.7 and 42.5 are water level contours showing the elevation of the water at those locations. So there's a very slight gradient from north to south going across there, 0.2 feet, not very much. It's essentially flat, but a very slight gradient north to south. And if you go to the next slide, we then use that. We first off, so on the left in this table are those numbers from various wells, and then we adjusted the USGS has a whole set of index wells all across the Cape, and there's one that happens to be just a few miles away from here. And they have something like 50 years of water level data at these USGS index wells. So by comparing the time set of data from our site that corresponds with the USGS index well, we make a relationship between them, and then can use that relationship to estimate the long-term historical likelihood of overall water levels using that 50-year record from the USGS index well. So the right column then is this adjusted mean overall July water level. So we use these to then create target water elevations for each of the 2 cranberry bogs that we were gonna design around, and those are the 2 numbers that are shown in the bottom of the slide. Next, please. The other important part of this is where were the historic peat deposits that represent the pre-cranberry natural wetlands. So this is done by ground penetrating radar. So we hired a sub-consultant who went out and used ground penetrating radar, dragged these sleds across the whole bog area to figure out the stratigraphy. So you have, like I said, 1.5 feet of sand, and then under this, these colors are showing how thick the peat is. So the purple and blue are thick peat deposits, and the green and red are thin to no peat deposits. This is another way that we know that these wetlands were formerly isolated, because you can see there really is no wetland in between either the big cell and Santuit Pond, or even in between the 2 cells. So they were 2 small depressions that wetlands developed in and were isolated, that then got converted to cranberry bogs. So we also use this data to target where we want to do the bulk of our wetland restoration. We want to build the wetlands where they were naturally. So we're using these purple areas to target the bulk of the excavation work. Next, please. So the overall idea, the concept here, is you want to remove enough of the overlying sand to achieve this wetlands hydrology. We want varied wetland types, as would a natural wetland have. And we want microtopography. So we want you get that variation by having ups and downs and undulations, so different plants growing in wetter and drier areas. And we wanted to have a net zero excavation and filling on the site to save money, so you're not transporting material away. And the goal is to allow the native seed bank to revegetate primarily, and then do supplemental plantings and seedings as needed as a follow-up. So next, please. I think we'll have the design next. Yeah. So this is the earthwork plan, which is functionally to dig down in the middle, corresponding to those deep areas of purple of deep peat that the GPR showed, and kind of push the material out to the edges. So this does a couple of things. It recreates the natural wetland topography that was likely there beforehand by having deep areas in the center and shallow on the edges. It uses that material to fill in all those cranberry ditches that were built. And then it saves money by not having to move that material all around, put it in trucks and drag it all over the place and save it away. So that's that concept. And then if you go to the next slide, I think it will show what that means. So that creates these 3 different wetland hydrology zones, shown with the 3 different hatches here. So essentially those are deep marsh in the center, and then shallow marsh moving out from there, and then shrub swamp at the edges. And then the outskirts of that are essentially upland, so not really wetland anymore. So that is the design that meets the project goals of recreating something very similar to what likely existed there before, keeps cost in check without having a whole lot of earth movement or having to take stuff off site, and creates a properly functioning habitat, wetland habitat, varied wetland habitat. And I should say also here that this is being proposed as an ecological restoration notice of intent, and the particular lever of the 6 levers in there that is being used here is the rare species habitat enhancement for the box turtle. So we have a habitat management plan that we worked on together with Natural Heritage that involves elements of improving turtle nesting habitat and turtle living habitat on the site, for the sole purpose of improving the habitat for that rare species. I think that might be the last, but why don't you see if there's anything coming up after this. Here's the rare species habitat management plan. So these are some of the things that the town agreed to in order to get this rare species habitat management plan approved. No new roads or improvements to the existing roads on site, no new infrastructure. We have to, as I said, thin the vegetation from the former cranberry bog sandbar pits to allow for better turtle nesting habitat. We have a limited construction window to avoid driving over the turtles. Try to use all native materials, not try to, absolutely use all native materials so that we're creating a natural native habitat for turtles and everyone, and limited maintenance of these trails and so forth. So it's essentially, hand mowing, push walk behind mowing so that the people doing it can see if there are turtles in front of them and don't just run over them, and that sort of thing. So that is the project. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Been at this for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'll go to the commissioners first for questions or comments that any of you might have.
I have just a question. I thought you were going to get to this, but can you educate us on the size of the turtle population right now, where it was, say, 20 years ago, and where you want it to
Maybe
be?
Drew knows about this, but I'm not aware of any actual turtle sightings on the site. It's mapped habitat, but I'm not sure that any have
Really?
actually been seen. Drew, do you know the answer to that?
So I don't think there's been any real study as far as numbers of turtles. Features
I'll allow,
habitat features that are conducive to turtle habitat, but there's been no formal study for any.
there's a member here in the audience that had her hand up. Do you have information, ma'am?
Well, I have a picture, but my phone's out in the
Okay.
a picture of a box turtle in my yard.
Well, I know what the box turtle looks like. What I'm wondering is, when is the last time that we had the information? I understand where we're going, I'm very supportive, et cetera, but I want to know, what evidence do we have of where we are now, and what do we have to measure it against if we don't have any?
I don't know if there's necessarily any measurement protocols as part of this. It's really just because the area has been mapped by Natural Heritage as priority habitat, you have to make them happy. So essentially, we are by improving the habitat for the turtles, should they be there either now or in the future. To my knowledge, there is no plan for a survey now or in the future or anything along those lines. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could you see what the gentleman out in the audience has?
I have two quick questions. First of all, I've been running around that bog for the last 10 years, 4 to 5 times a week. It's a special place, it really is. And I see turtles during April, May, June. There's definitely a fair amount there. You see them digging in, having their babies and stuff. So there's definitely a turtle population all around that bog. The one question I've got is there's when you're running around, there's like 2-3 foot, trenches, and there's frogs, there's turtles, there's all kinds of things that you hear when you're running around that bog. Is there anything being to the trenches? Are they being filled in?
They will be filled in, but they'll be open. The deep marsh habitat in the middle of these are open water, similar to that, where frogs and things like that.
Transport to that other area
Yeah.
instead of right around that area
Right.
there.
Right.
And the work will be inside the trenches, if you want to put it that way, where the cranberry bogs were. Outside will be open for walking, jogging.
All of the trails, everything that's currently there will stay the same. Yes.
So you'll be able to walk to that little area when you fill it in, so that be able to get to that.
Yeah. The entire trail network will stay exactly as it is.
So I just had
Okay, I'm going to bring this back to commissioners, and then I will come out to the public for further questions or comments. Marjorie,
So the
is
only follow-up,
that-
Mr. Chairman, if I could have for our guests, et cetera, is that I would love, and I'm saying this, I hope this is a productive request, I would love to see some bar, some standard by which, as a commission, we could all judge what our goal is for the future. What's our goal in terms of how feet wide, whatever, we want to make the perfect, the perfect segments for the turtle. I mean, I'm searching for a standard. If we don't know where they are or how many there are now, what's our
Right.
goal for the future to set, for the habitat itself?
Well, I know we're coming in with a rare species habitat
Right.
model, but there's a lot of other goals to converting bogs to wetlands.
No,
So,
I understand that.
you know, over and above the turtles
I
themselves.
just want, I want to be
Yeah.
educated on,
Sure,
we're focusing on the box turtle.
yeah.
I happen to love the box turtle. I'm a big fan. And I love it, but I just would like to know more about our goals. So this is a huge project.
Yeah, it is a big project.
Yeah.
I agree.
What? Yes? Are you agreeing with me?
Yes, I am, but I think we're just hoping that they'll.
We're hoping they'll come back and knock on the door and say,
Right.
hey, thank you, guys.
Right.
All right.
So who maintains
If-
the trails now? Is it the town that maintains the trails, and that's gonna continue, nothing changed?
Yeah.
My other, can I ask?
Sure.
Just for my own personal edification, the 50-year survey that the USGS has, is that available for normal people to look up and stuff? the data?
50-year survey?
You said the USGS has wellheads that have 50 years of data.
Oh, so yeah, so you can, if you go to the USGS website,
Yeah.
they have groundwater data for the whole state, and you can go well by well and
You
look up.
at individual.
Yeah, yeah.
Just love.
There's something like 200 odd,
So go to the
there's something
website.
like 200 odd index wells in the state, and there's maybe 50 stream gauges that you can look up to and get flow data from those.
Any other questions, Aaron?
Nope, that was all I got.
Sandy? All set. Steve?
Okay, a couple questions, Neil. On the access going down there, does the access have to be widened to bring in equipment?
No.
No, it's wide enough right now?
It's currently, because it's been farmed up until just a few years ago, so, equipment for cranberry farming was coming and going, and there's a pretty wide access road right now.
Okay, so what type of equipment are the
We'll
planning?
be looking at bulldozers, excavators, and probably dump trucks. Probably most of that would likely be tracked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to start at the far southern end and work your way back? Is that the?
Yeah, the idea is to
Process
start
or-
in the middle, right? So to dig the deeper parts first
Yeah.
and then push the material outwards from there. So there'd likely
Okay.
be an excavator or two in the middle digging the hole while bulldozers then push the material that they have pulled out of the hole off to the sides.
Okay. And with the peat and everything, it's stable enough for these excavators won't sink in?
That's
and
with
have problems?
that part all gets done with, the contractor will define what we call the means and methods, right, for doing this. So that, based on past experience, they'll use rubber tracked stuff to kind of spread the weight out, and they probably will use some marsh mats as well, too, I would
Okay.
imagine.
So
Yeah.
these are experienced contractors you expect
Yes.
to be working on it?
Right.
That have done this before?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And then you said that you're going to rebuild the trails and so forth a bit?
No, not really any rebuilding. It's just that the
You're going to widen them?
as part of the agreement with Natural Heritage, they didn't want them to be widened or increased upon. We had to agree to keep them as they currently are.
Okay, and then that the town personnel is trained to look for box turtles and on their mowing, yeah?
That's me.
Yeah, that's you?
Yeah,
That's you,
yeah.
okay.
I've been mowing wildlife areas for about 20 years now.
Okay.
If not a little more, so I have more than enough
So you're the
experience
one
with it.
mowing, okay.
Yeah, I'll be the one
Not
mowing.
somebody from DPW that's just mowing for mowing's sake?
No, it'll be me mowing that area. So I don't get to it too often, but I get to it enough to keep it down just for walking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Were you a Boy Scout at the time you started?
I actually did. I started in a Boy Scout camp. So there you have it.
Hey, got a little patch?
Right.
Thanks, Neil.
No problem.
Okay. Neil, you mentioned that there's a limited construction window because of the turtles. What is that window?
We had it up there, I've forgotten.
I didn't
This
see
is
that.
April 15th to November 1st.
What were the dates again?
April 15th to November 1st.
April 15th to November 1st.
That's the standard for box turtles when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
So there's no construction during that time frame.
Or is it the other way around? That's the allowed time is.
No, that is the
No,
time
that's
where there's
the
no
shutdown.
construction.
Yeah, it's
I
the
mean, yeah,
shutdown.
no operation of vehicles within the
Between
area there,
April 15th.
except for the
and
maintenance of
yeah.
trails.
So the
Yeah.
construction window is November 1st to April 14th.
Primarily winter, early spring, and
Right,
then done.
yeah.
So with that in mind, and I don't want to hold you to an exact amount of time, but a ballpark figure from start to finish?
It should be in the few month time frame,
Couple of months.
2 to 3 months, kind of for the bulk of the actual, physical work.
Okay. And
I think we're aiming, and Drew will have a better knowledge of this with what the grant is saying. I think we're hoping for essentially like a year from now to be doing this.
Correct.
Yeah,
so you'd be going in next November 1st?
right. Yeah.
Going through that winter? Okay. I'm all set. Let me go out to the public for questions and comments.
Yes, I have a question.
If you could come up to the microphone, because we're live on TV here, so. And I'll need your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Lori Nelson, 121 Deerfoot Circle. I've actually lived there over 30 years, so I love the bogs, and like Mr. Appleman, we just all love it there. And I've been very concerned about what's going on with this area only because of the pond, and nobody has mentioned anything about the pond, and that's Santuit Pond, which is very, for the last 15 years, I haven't used it, and we've been told not to go in it. So it was my assumption that this was actually one of the remedies to be able to restore the pond to some health, and I'm just curious if that's still the case, or I thought that was a big push for why we want to return them back to wetlands, so, thank you.
I can take that
Okay,
question.
sure.
Not to speak for the town per se, I didn't know about but this project is not really intended to address water quality in Santuit Pond in any way. It's independent, stands on its own merits. So the plan the current culvert connecting the pond to the bogs would be eliminated as part, so there would be no more connection. And to be honest, that's partly to protect the restored wetlands from the water quality in the pond, as opposed to the other way around. So all that said, these restored wetlands will have a water quality improvement just in terms of the groundwater. So there'll be some very slight improvement in terms of but by no means should it be considered a mitigation program for Santuit Pond.
Separate projects.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Make a quick comment to that question.
sure.
With regards to this wetland restoration project, you're also, as part of the town's purchase, wetland restoration, formerly active log that was treated with herbicides, pesticides, for the purpose of growing cranberry. All of those, but herbicides are no longer being applied to this log, so that is going to result in benefits by taking log production. We no longer have those inputs pesticides for the purpose of growing cranberry. So, that's of this project. Perhaps to a pond from the bog flood for the production and cranberry.
Drew, you are cutting out.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure if Dan can fix it on this end or if it's your mic moving around on your end.
So basically,
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the sad
My
thing,
comments,
we can't see
my
you
comments
better.
were to, in regards to a bog that was formerly active and therefore required, a significant amount of fertilizer, herbicides, and pesticides in order to grow and produce and cultivate cranberries. So by taking the bog out of production and restoring it to a wetland, that reduces, just by the very nature of this project, reduces harmful inputs to Santuit Pond as far as water quality. You no longer have those inputs because the bog is out of production.
That was worth your saying it twice, thank you.
okay.
Did that?
Yes,
Address them.
I know.
yes,
So,
ma'am. Can I have your name for the record,
Vicky
please?
Holmes, Lot 47, 30 Cranberry Lane. I purchased the lot in 1975, I believe, so I have pictures of it then. I've always walked it. Every morning when I wake up, first thing I see. So this is in the heart. It's not just a piece of land. Tried to fight to clear up the pond. That was hard because I think 6 people showed up, but we got the solar bees in. And then we fought against the golf course going in to keep it a cranberry bog and keep it open space. So thank God this is open space. So really, my only concern is how much of it is going to change. And I actually wanted to ask you, they have a bog in Plymouth. I'm not a good speaker, so I'm a little nervous. And they've restored it, and they've made it beautiful. So I didn't know how close to it looking like something like that, and I don't know the name of it, but I saw it on Channel 2.
Is it Tidmarsh, perhaps?
Maybe. The family didn't want it, but the mother and father kept it, and they just have their house and a partial of it left, and then the rest got restored, like you're saying, back
Yeah,
to.
that's the
And it's
project.
beautiful, the natural trees. And my only other comment, if it gets left just untouched and nobody goes and cares for it, do we end up with a bunch of scrub pines and poison ivy?
So.
That's because I've seen it at the other box. So that's my own, that's a big, because I'm this close.
It's an excellent question, right?
Okay.
So first off,
I made it.
Tidmarsh, we were one of the consultants who worked on that Tidmarsh project that you saw, so I'm very familiar with it. It came out excellent. It's a beautiful project, not just visually, but in terms of habitat and function, et cetera. It's different than this project because that was a river had run, those cranberry bogs were built by blocking a river essentially and building along the banks, so altering the river. These are isolated wetlands, so it won't, the appearance will be different because instead of being BVW like at Tidmarsh around the river, it will be isolated wetlands for these. So it's probably a nuance, but it's just different vegetation and a different look. But that same general idea of natural vegetation growing up. And with regards to the second question, this is why we do these things, because if you just walk away from cranberry bogs, like has happened historically, and you can see all over the place, they do what you said. Because of this addition of sand that I was mentioning, they're not really wetlands anymore. So that's why the pitch pines invade and so forth, because it's not really a wetland hydrology. So you get all these invasive species, and that's why we do these projects, is to proactively avoid that from to like give nature a nudge back into what it wanted to be, rather than having it take hundreds of years to get there. So that's the goal.
And one last, opposed to flooding it, why is there not like just flooding it and making that like a small pond?
Well, there's not, so if you were to just, there's no means to do so, right? Like, other than pumping water in there somehow.
Right.
There's no way to, again, the land surface is currently too high to be flooded. When they flooded it for cranberry
Right,
production.
they take it out of the pond.
They took it out of the pond
And
and
then
used
put it
pumps
back,
to
okay,
do so.
right.
So, that's not a sustainable thing to do, to continue pumping forever.
Because there is one like 5 blocks over off of Newtown. That one's flooded, and so you don't get as much growth as you do with the
Right.
ones that are left.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's variation. Some of them are low enough that they can get waterlogged on their own. I've seen some of those, but most of them are like this, that they're too high to stay underwater, yeah.
As long as it's not a horror show.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I made it.
Good job.
See what happened.
Yeah.
Anyone else that would like to question or comment? No? We're all set?
Very good.
Okay. Dan, I'm going
Can I
to,
ask one last thing?
oh, yes, please.
Just one quick question. Is there any
Could you come up to the microphone, sir, so that people at home can hear? Everybody wants to hear what you have to say.
The only concern is because I use it every day, 5 to 6 times a week, and I love it in the springtime when you hear all the frogs and the turtles and stuff. Is there any concern when they fill in the trenches that all of a sudden the habitat of the frogs and the things might be damaged? I know you say they can scoot over to there, but if a lot of them, there's babies and stuff, or that's where they are. They're in that water there. That's where they're born. I'm just wondering if there's any concern that might be affected by this. And I think it's a great idea, but this is the first I've heard of it, so I'm just trying to find out.
It has never been an issue in the past.
So they'll find ways to get out of there.
Yeah, and it'll be, you should hopefully, if all goes well, you should hear more frogs and more of that. It should be, the habitat for them will be better than it is now and all of that, so.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
With all of you neighbors that walk through there, there's no question in your mind that there's a healthy family of turtles, that they're there, you see them, they make their baby holes and they take care of themselves?
I'm there 5-6 days a week, especially during certain times of the year. You absolutely see them. You see them digging. It's what's cool about being able to get into that area too. It's really.
Take some pictures for me.
Well, in April, I will. I actually probably
So if
have
you
some
do,
on
when
my
you
phone
post them,
because I
Gary,
do
you
take
can
them
post them.
sometimes.
And sir, can I get your name for the record? I didn't get that
I'm
one.
Joe Appleman.
Joe Appleman,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
go out.
How you guys doing? And can I say one positive thing too? The last 3 years since the pond has gotten since they had everybody around the Santuit Pond doing their septic systems, absolutely has made a difference. And I'm out there boating. Even tonight, I boated before I came. You can see now to the bottom. This is September, and it's clearing up quicker from my experience.
Thank God.
91 Edgewater Road. Yeah. So some positives,
There you go. Very good.
Okay, that's good news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, Dan, I'm going to ask you to read the agent's comments.
Absolutely. So this is a proposed ecological restoration of an existing abandoned cranberry bog to a freshwater wetland. Project has gone through rigorous review and approval by DEP, Mass Endangered Species Act, and Mass Environmental Policy Act. No take status determination by Natural Heritage Endangered Species Program, as project aims to enhance by creating a freshwater wetland mosaic of shallow and deep water marsh that will provide a diverse habitat for a range of native species, including rare species. The freshwater marsh will also provide vernal pool habitat, the reverting up to upland habitat with regrowth of emergent black pines and willows. The grant funding source for this ecological restoration project is the Mass in Lieu Fee Program, requires post-construction criterion, including creation of a long-term management plan, which the Conservation Department is currently working on with the assistance of the Native Land Conservancy, which holds a conservation restriction on the property. The existing bog access road remain, as will the existing Cranberry Bog Barn. The existing pump house will be demolished and removed. The man-made connection to Santuit Pond will be filled, and as this connection is not necessary for the ecological restoration project. Historically, this bog area has never had a natural connection to the Santuit Pond. It was made for the purpose of flooding the cranberry bog for harvesting of berries. Agents recommend a close an issue with conditions as required by the In Lieu Fee Program for post-restoration monitoring and management of this wetland resource.
Thank you.
And then I'll just add one thing. If you want to have a rough idea of what it will look like for a final project, we had one on Old Barnstable Road called Child's River Restoration. And that is pretty much done. The restoration aspect for that cranberry bog is, and it's grown in fantastic. So it's something that you can see for an aspect of that. It has a lot of swamp milkweed growing in and has some Atlantic white cedars as well, and among other wetland plants. So it's a success story. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Oh, I was just giving you a little.
Flourish at the end.
Okay, and there are no comments from the Board of Health or the Building Department, and the Harbor Master has no comments, nor do we have any from the Shellfish Warden Natural Resources.
Right.
Okay. Well, with all of that, I would entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for 0 Cranberry Lane, Chupchak Bog, Town of Mashpee, for a close-in issue for the notice of intent with conditions as required by the In Lieu Fee Program for post-restoration monitoring and management of this wetland restoration.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Marjorie. So we have a first and a second on the table, open for discussion amongst commissioners before I call for a vote. Anything, last questions or comments? No? You don't want to talk about those turtles one last time?
I'm telling you, I want those pictures. I'm going
Okay.
to frame them. I'm going to put them over the mantle. My mother would have it no other way.
Thank you, Marjorie. I'm going to call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
It's important.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to it.
Before I leave, I noticed that both Red Brook and Upper Quashnet are on the agenda, and since I'm responsible for both of those projects, I thought I would give a very brief update on them, if you don't mind, while I have the floor.
Absolutely.
So Upper Quashnet, the next step of that is a public presentation to get feedback. And I've been negligent. So I was talking with Drew earlier. We're going to get together with a schedule for when we should have that and get that planned. And that's the next step on that project. Red Brook, I submitted there has been a grant received through the Dam and Seawall Program to the town of Mashpee, the DPW department. I submitted a scope of work to DPW, which was just accepted last week, and they just need to put together a contract. So the next phase of work on Red Brook, which again is to remove the dam there, replace the culvert, raise the road a little bit higher, and do a stormwater assessment for opportunities to do better stormwater management along the way.
Yeah, that road really needs some attention. That floods in a lot.
Oh, yes. Yes,
sure.
that's a duly needed project for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you, Neil. Have a good
Thank you
night.
for your time.
Thank you, Neil.
Oh, this is yours.
There we go. Thank you. No problem.
Did you have something to say or no?
He said thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Neil.
Moving on. I'm going to call the 6:09 hearing for 138 Summerseed Road. And this is Karen Lynham. This is a proposed repair replacement of a septic system as part of a property transfer. Representative is Geo Cape Environmental Consultants. Owners of record, Brian A. Cook, trustee, Scallop Shell Realty Trust. This is a notice of intent, DEP file number 433253. Good evening, sir. Can I have your name for the record?
Glenn Harrington, representing Karen Linehan, the buyer of the property at 138 Summerseat Road. As this property is being transferred, there was a septic inspection that was done, and the system was found to be in non-compliance, so a new system is required. The existing system right now is a septic tank, and that goes to flow diffusers, which are under the upper driveway. Unfortunately, the pipe comes out underneath the footing. So that puts everything 9 to 10 feet deep in the front yard. And so the proposed system right now is to pick up the line that comes out under the footing and turn it to bring it to tanks over in the lower driveway, which is at the garage level, where there will be a fast 0.75 model treatment unit that goes to a pump chamber that also has an ultraviolet disinfection unit within the pump chamber that will pump up to a new leaching facility into up to the upper driveway area. So the system is designed and meant to be in areas that are already disturbed. It is fit in to be the tanks need to be accessible because they need to be sampled, and also for maintenance. If the tanks were to go into the front yard where the existing tank is, they would be about 9 feet below grade and would also have to have manholes and have confined space entry to do any kind of maintenance on it, which ultimately is not that safe. If they're in the lower driveway, then they're only a couple feet below grade where they're accessible. So there are resource areas in the area, AE flood zone, salt marsh, and a coastal bank that goes around, is associated with Aquay Bay and Ann's Cove, that abuts the house. The Board of Health has approved this already.
They have, okay. Thank you. Questions from the commissioners?
No, it looks good.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, yeah.
Marjorie?
No, I'm good.
Aaron?
I was out there today, I just wondered, it's super tight. It's really close in there, like everything's really on top of each other. And there's a tree there. You don't anticipate any vegetation being disturbed, do you?
There are trees there. They are decorative trees. The trees that are along the outside, along the edge of the road, I don't believe that, well, I think there will be one that will be possibly that will have to be removed because it's within the 5-foot strip-out area. Again, that's one of the decorative Japanese maples. There are 2 other Japanese maples that are going to be, that are next to where the force main is going to be dug. That's just a 2-inch force main. So I'm hoping at that point they'll be able to just dig a single trench to put the force main in. But again, this is a very tight property. I can't promise that there isn't going to be any vegetation that's going to be upset. There are some there's larger oak trees at the higher part of the property, which is about 3 foot in diameter, and that one is not going to be touched.
Is that this one here?
Because that's also on the other side of the water line.
Is that this one here? Big one?
Yes.
I think that's the one.
Yep, that's the one right by the driveway, the left entrance to the driveway.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. The gas line is there and the water line, so we're not going to be in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that maple comes out, will they put something back that maybe is native to the Cape?
I would think that they're going to put back or have it landscaped very nice. This is a multi-million-dollar property,
know.
so I think it's going to be put back.
Exactly.
I don't have a landscape plan per se just yet. The property is still in the process of being transferred. So again, I'm sure it's going to be put back in a very nice fashion.
With a native tree, or I'm just wondering if they're going to put back the same time?
They'll do however you direct it to, so.
Sounds
There
good.
you go.
You can request that, Aaron.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would like to do that.
Sandy?
I'm good.
All set. The only thing that I saw that was missing is because of the requirements of Regulation 30, we need to have the nitrogen calculation figures for the lot, and I didn't see that in the packet.
Okay.
We don't need those tonight. We can condition that as part of issuing the order, that, you know, the order would not be issued until the figures are part of the packet.
Yep, we have done this before where with the nitrogen calcs, it can get passed and approved tonight, pending you pass the nitrogen calculations in.
Is this according to the Cape Cod Commission
This is
calculation?
according to our Regulation 30 for the town bylaw.
No, I'm just saying the calculation itself, is it based on the commission or is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it
It is based on the commission, the Cape
Okay.
Cod Commission
Yeah.
calculation.
I'm sorry, yeah.
sheet.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
I can supply it to you too.
We have
It's not a
the,
problem.
Yeah,
Excel
I've done them
sheet.
before and I'll
Okay.
work with staff to get that done.
great, great, thank you. Any questions from people in the audience on this particular proposal? Hearing none, I'll come back to you, Dan, to read us any questions or comments from the agent.
So resource areas here is buffer zone to the top of Coastal Bank and BVW. Proposed septic system upgrade to an IA fast system. All proposed work within previously legally altered areas, which is driveway and landscaping. No adverse impacts to the Coastal Bank or BVW. Overall improvement over our existing substandard septic system. Agents recommend to close an issue.
Okay, thanks. Anything else from commissioners before I call for a motion? Nothing? Okay. I'd accept a motion then to close an issue on this proposal.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for 138 Summersea Road, Karen Linehan, for closing issue on the notice of intent with the conditions of nitrogen calculations being presented, I mean. And then Aaron mentioned,
If there's a tree that comes out, if we could replace it with something that's native.
so
on the list that
So
you
replace
So
it
do
kind
we-
with the native.
replace
With
any,
native, yeah.
you know, but remove trees with native species.
Kind of with the native species.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a tree removed, replace it with a tree. If it's a bush, replace it with a native bush.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
correct.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second. 2 seconds.
Aaron beat it.
I'll take both
I
of them.
defer,
Thank
I
you.
can defer to Aaronson's.
Motion made and seconded, and on the
Got the
table for
tree.
any further discussion from the commission before I call for a vote. Nothing? Okay. Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thanks,
Good
Glenn.
to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's a pretty
Gonna
good house.
Call
Yeah, I can
the
see
6/12
moving
hearing
trucks
for
and people everywhere. I could
48
barely
Greenwood
post it.
Road, Daniel Marsters and Joyce Marsters. This is a proposed placement of fill and retaining walls along property perimeter to bring property to just above elevation of adjacent roadway, which is Greenwood Road. This work is proposed as preparation for a planned raise and replace of an existing single-family residence and installation of a new septic system. Representative is Marsh Matters Environmental. Owner of record is Joyce A. Marsters, trustee of Glenwood Trust. This is a notice of intent, and we do not have a DEP number as of yet. It says pending. And I believe we've had a last-minute request just before the
Yeah, just before, basically the office shut down today. They requested a continuance because they do not have a DEP number. And with the request of the permit, they feel more comfortable having everything in line before they present it.
Good thinking.
Shout out to Gage. I think
Okay,
everyone
and
today,
do we have
they
a
all-
date and a time for that, Dan?
Where are we? November 2nd at 6:09.
11/2/609. Okay, I'd accept a motion for that if there is one.
Yep, so moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? None? I'll call for a vote, Steve.
I do have discussion
Oh,
quickly.
okay,
Sorry.
I won't call for a vote.
So, Dan, you mentioned something about the bylaw on fill coming in.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
so-
this narrative states that they're applying for this because on October 16th of this month, that there will be a bylaw, an article warrant going in. I think it's from planning or zoning, I'm not 100%.
So just going into the,
But it's going in for the vote. The
For a
residents
vote, for
will
the
be voting for it, which
town
would
meeting.
not allow fill to be brought into the flood zone for any new construction.
okay.
So that's what the narrative of this permit states, and that's
Okay.
what it's around. That's what.
So, yeah, okay. That's what I was misunderstanding. So I didn't know it was approved already or going in for a vote. So
No, it's
that's
going before it, so they just want to kind of be proactive, I guess.
Okay,
It's on the
Okay.
warrant for the 16th.
okay.
Yeah, and I believe it's planning board.
Is it planning board?
Planning board that
Right.
came up with that. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's planning board on behalf of the zoning board.
On behalf of zoning. So
Okay.
that's a two-thirds vote?
Thanks, Drew.
Yes, sir.
It's a
Has to be
two-thirds.
2/3 then.
Okay. And I will call for the vote.
Okay,
Steve?
yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that hearing will be continued to November 2nd at 6:09. So now I'll back up here a little bit. We have all been given a 2024 conservation hearing calendar, and I believe that's been revised since it was sent out, correct?
I do believe so.
This says revised here, so I don't know what was.
So I can comment on that.
Sure.
So there were originally in the first iteration of the calendar, the meeting calendar was for 3 meetings in the month of May, and we're reducing that to 2 meetings.
Okay.
mostly because there's also town meeting is scheduled in May, spring town meeting every year. So that's the only revision, is to reduce the number of meetings from 3 to 2 in the month of May.
So which one comes out? Because I still have the old one here, so.
I don't think we have the revised calendar. If the commission wants to wait to receive that revision, you can certainly vote on it at the next meeting. Or if you feel comfortable voting on it now with that change forthcoming, your decision.
Yeah,
I
I
have
think
the
that's
original
fine.
one. The original one was
Yeah, May 2nd, 16th, and
May
30th.
16th came out.
May 16th came out.
May
Okay.
16th is out.
Okay,
And May 2nd has changed to May 9, and May 30th is changed to May 23rd.
okay.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's just too
All right.
many changes.
I know, you can't add extra days into the year. And only one meeting in November?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right, so that's what we have for dates. Any other questions or comments? I do know that I will not be able to chair the meeting of April 4. I will be away. So I'm sure Alex could step up and take care of that, I hope. Other
She
than
may
that,
take over.
I didn't have any conflicts with anything here. I just wanted to make note of that. Okay, then I would accept a motion to accept this, or do you want to look at it and check your calendars and do it next meeting? How do you feel?
No, I'm fine with it.
I'm good.
You want to wait on Alex to have,
We
I
I think
could,
she'll be cool with it.
I would think she'd be fine.
yeah.
Yeah, does it have to be unanimous, Dan?
Pardon?
Does it have to be unanimous?
No, just a
No.
quorum.
Yeah. Okay.
Should be
I make, Mr. Chairman, make a motion to accept the 2024 public hearing dates and the calendar, and with the proposed changes that will be forthcoming.
Okay,
Second.
thank you, Steve, thank you, Aaron. So motion made and seconded to accept this revised calendar as presented. No further discussion? We're good? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, so we'll carve that into stone. Minutes. We have 3 different sets of minutes tonight. The first one is for 9/21/23, and voting on that set of minutes would be Paul Colombo, Steve Cook, Marjorie Clapprood, Aaron Copeland, Sandy Godfrey, everybody that's here. Did you have a chance to look at those? I know they just came out yesterday or the other day. I went through them. I
Yeah, I
didn't see
went through
anything that,
Seemed fine to me. I didn't
Okay.
see anything
Seemed fine
amiss.
to me.
you're all good with that? Okay, then I would accept a motion on this set of minutes.
Yeah, so moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you. Nothing else?
I don't
We're
dare
good?
jump on her.
Okay, let me call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. That motion carries, those minutes are in. Then we're going to go back in time here. We have a set of minutes that we have not accepted, and that is for 12/8/22. And eligible to vote on those minutes would be Paul Colombo, Marjorie Clapprood, Aaron Copeland. Alex would be, but she is not here. Do I need 4 on that? I do need 4,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
we
it'll
can't,
pass. Not
yeah.
pass, we'll have to wait till.
we'll have to wait until
We'll wait, okay.
Alex
You,
is back.
you only need a quorum of those present.
Quorum of those present,
Oh,
not.
present, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So you're good to go then?
Yeah.
Well, then we're
Then
good.
we're good to go.
You can vote on those.
Okay, great. All right, so did you have a chance to look at those?
Absolutely.
Okay, I didn't see anything wrong with that set of minutes either. I think, Drew, you did that set of minutes, correct?
I did. Yes.
I thought I saw your name at the end. Was everything spelled right?
What's that?
Was everything spelled right?
I think so.
Okay,
Had improper use of a semi, but I'm not going to go there.
Oh, boy.
So anyways, I am going to call for a vote on those minutes. Marjorie?
Yes.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yes.
Thank you, and I vote yes as well. So those minutes are accepted. The last set of minutes is for January 12th, 2023, and eligible to vote on those would be Paul Colombo, Steve Cook, Marjorie Clapper, Aaron Copeland. Did you have a chance to look those over?
Yes.
I did as well.
Yep.
Okay with them?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know it's a typo, but I know in that set of minutes, there was a reference to Mr. Copeland, not Mrs. I just wanted to point
I
that
did not
out.
even
So
catch that typo, geez.
it's just one little typo that needs to be
Well, it's
cleaned up
nice
there.
for
a
you
tiny
to
bit.
be me, they, him.
I thought for sure you'd see that.
Apologies.
I thought you'd see that one, Aaron, but I
Non-binary.
highlighted in yellow on my computer when I read it. Anyways, no questions, comments on those? All right, then I will call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well, with that one little exception, Mr. changed to Mrs.
Good for you for catching it. But you know, it's irrelevant now.
Moving on, I'm trying to keep this thing going here.
What's that? I'm sorry?
Mashpee water quality issues and initiatives, ongoing discussion item. Anybody have anything they would like to bring up? No? I will. Front page of today's Cape Cod Times, there was a feature article of the work that Nicole Corbett is doing with her jellyfish and seaweed research, both in the Pompanesett Bay and in the Sound. Really a nice article for a wonderful person who's doing a lot of work for water quality, so she's to be commended. I spoke with her, and she is willing to come before the commission on November 16th
Oh,
to
good.
present her research and data, so I'm going to add that to our agenda
Terrific.
for
Discussion or?
November 16th. Whether we'll do that before or after hearings, let's see how the rest of that calendar works out. Okay, so she'll be coming in
That's
with
great.
a lot of information for us, I'm sure. Okay, the next discussion item is land subject to coastal storm flowage, the 100-foot buffer zone, Chapter 172-2 amendment. There's quite a bit of information here. I don't know if you've had enough time to look at this. I would rather this discussion take place with all commissioners being here, where we're being asked to agree to a draft proposal to change language for the bylaws. So I really would like to see Alex here as well for that, if that's okay. So I'd accept a motion to table that discussion.
And just for reference, I asked Drew to put this on the agenda because it seems like there's a lot of confusion
Yes.
back and forth between
Oh, it's a discussion we need to
both
have.
these and with the commissioner. So I felt like I was getting confused on different projects, and talking with Drew about some things, and, he brought up some of these things that written down in the comments too. And I said, yeah, I think it's worth that we clear this up, and then as a commission, that we move forward as a group, and we all agree, okay, this is how we're gonna handle, this type of project or that type of
We're all
project,
on
and
the
how
same
everything,
page.
172 versus, regulation 25.
Right.
How do we move forward from here, since there's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the last year or so?
Yep.
Yeah.
It needs clarification, that's
Yeah.
for certain.
Yeah,
It
it
absolutely
is.
So I
needs.
just want to give
confusing.
everybody background that
Yeah.
I initiated this.
You have
Just,
different
my own
language.
confusion.
You have different languages in different areas of the law, and it should really be more consistent than what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, Steve, for that, seriously.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
so-
we're all in agreement of what we're looking for, but I think if we clear this up, it'll be a lot easier for us and the applicants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, because of, the repercussions of it, going, if we do this, to go to town meeting to look at some kind of changes, I'd like to have the full commission represented and voting on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll accept the motion to table.
Yeah, so
Thank you,
moved.
Steve.
Second?
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right.
So I just want
hopefully-
to clarify for this, so you want to table this till we have everyone?
Yes, and
Okay.
I'm hoping that would be at our next meeting, which is 11.
Yep. Yeah, if everyone here's at the next meeting, then Alex did say
Next
she would.
meeting is what, On the 19th?
I don't have that
Yeah,
schedule in front of me.
19th, right?
Yeah, 19th.
19th.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have one more in October, okay. Okay, great. And then we go to the updates, and I'll turn those over to you, Dan.
All right. I'm not going to cover Red Brook and Upper Quashnet. I'm just going to add a little bit to it because
Okay.
Neil Price was far more
Yep.
descriptive than I was. I will say for Red Brook, there is, so the LOI was submitted for restoration project in Red Brook, not for the culvert replacement through DCR and all that. And Upper Quashnet restoration, an application for NOAA funding has not been sent in yet, but it will be very shortly. That will be included on multiple projects throughout the Cape for that NOAA funding application. We feel the Upper Quashnet will definitely fit in. That's for habitat restoration through NOAA. Bylaw Review Subcommittee, we'll get to that when everyone's here. Johns Pond and Santuit Milfoil, the continued correspondence with the tribe for the invasive species grant. Chop Shake Bog, hearing was tonight. Local comprehension plan, no new updates. Land Acquisition Subcommittee, once Alex is back, we will have more updates, and once we have the Environmental Oversight Committee meeting as well this month, we'll have more updates from then.
Right.
So,
She's actually at a conference for land
For that.
acquisition.
Yeah.
Both today and tomorrow.
so guided nature tours, the October dates were just established and they are now advertised. No updates for Herring. Harbor Management Committee, the last meeting is on September 26th to identify stakeholder groups and plans for next public scoping meeting. So that already occurred. Mashpee River, NRCS grant for $300,000 has been signed by all parties. The next step is drafting an RFP for conceptual design and data collection. APCC, again, is assisting with the Upper Quashnet NOAA grants and the Mashpee River. The Upper Mashpee River, we have targeted a grant, and we're working to collaborate with the tribe, APCC, and the town as well to get all that done. That would encompass more than just the restoration, but also some future work as well as some future collaborative building amongst the two entities, the three entities, actually. So, and then the fertilizer ban, there is no new updates as of yet. So, yeah, that is it.
Boom, boom, boom.
Thank you. Under communications and correspondence, you
So
should.
that I wanted to, I think we should table that too, because I wanted that to have a full commissioner presence
But there's
for that
something-
discussion.
You have something in the packet here, Drew, for them to take a look at? Or-
Yeah, I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't get it out. I was supposed to get it out to everyone today. But I'll get that out first thing tomorrow morning. And then we can table the discussion, just like we did for the flood zone bylaw language, until we have a full quorum of commissioners.
Sure,
Right.
okay. I think we can
good.
handle that. So I'll accept a motion to table that as well.
Yeah. So moved
Thank you, Steve.
to the 19th?
Yes, so
the
it'll be tentative 19th. That's the plan right
19th,
now. Tentative. If that changes, we'll shoot emails out.
Okay.
And Drew is going to send that file out.
Yes, Drew will send that tomorrow, or as soon as you can.
Tomorrow morning, yep.
I don't want to say tomorrow for him, so.
Before 7 a.m.?
No.
He'll be in traffic on the Bourne Bridge.
Thank you. You gave
got
the
a
motion.
motion?
Yeah, I made a
We
motion,
didn't
yeah, for
vote,
the 19th.
But we haven't voted.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't voted yet. Yeah.
Second?
A 1 and a 2. Any questions, comments, concerns, objections? Nothing. Steve?
Yes.
Marjorie?
Yes, sir.
Aaron? Sandy?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously, so we'll do that at our next meeting. And I think we're done.
Okay.
It's a
Unless-
Make
hot
him-
damn.
Unless
I'm not
anybody
gonna
has,
complain.
take a look at that clock, an hour and 10 minutes.
is it a
Oh, wait a
record?
minute, whoop, 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 sorry, we're not done. I told you I had surprises.
We were gonna make a record.
Colton Atkinson, 112 Algonquin. Sorry, I missed the earlier public comment. I sent Drew McManus a more finite plan for the project I was proposing last time I was here. I don't know if did he disseminate that to you?
I did not see that in my packet.
Okay. I have it here. If you guys can pass it around. I tried to make copies, but my printer had some issues.
Oh,
But you can take a look.
okay.
You can pass it around. But the one on the left uses the trail guide that the Conservation Commission has, and overlaid on that is in red where the proposed trails would be. But pretty much it just connects the recreation area with John's Pond, as well as some communities to the south of that. And then on the right is pretty much just taking the Mashpee Greenway project that was approved by the Community Preservation Committee, I think back in 2016 maybe, that then fell apart because of some bridge increasing costs. But the bridge would no longer be necessary because there's now going to be a sidewalk going along 151, so you can cross over the river by going north to that sidewalk, and you could continue to use most of the trails that they had already developed there. But the main change to the project would be getting rid of that bridge and then adding those trails in the wildlife conservation area to the north of 151, kind of trying to connect the Johns Pond recreation area and the communities to the south of them. And the trails already exist. It would just be improving the surface of them to make it more accessible by wheeled vehicles or people with strollers, things like that. And then also some of the trails have like trees that have fallen down across them or just water that's sitting there. I went after there had been a dry spell for like 5 days and there were still just pools of water. So it'd be just improving the surface of it to get rid of that, to make it a drier surface around. And the pitch to the CPC would primarily be just a feasibility study, and then we'd further develop the actual trail network that we would try and improve and make sure it's a feasible project before going forward for actual costs to improve the trails. I just wanted to see if that improvement of the trail surface would be something that you guys would support before I tried.
I feel like I don't see this on the agenda.
It is not.
It's not public comment.
So it's a new, new public comment, and you're just looking for,
A voice of support or against, pretty much. It doesn't have to be a formal vote, just knowing that I'm not going to spend a year working on the project and then have it be like, oh, we actually don't want that.
actually, we never liked it.
What I would like to see is to have you come on to our agenda
Okay.
and
I
have
think that would
these
be great.
materials in all the commissioners' hands so that we can do a formal session, explain exactly what the steps are going to be, and then we would be able to take a vote of support and give you documentation that you would want to take, if they do give the support, to the CPC or wherever you're going to make your next step.
Okay. Who would be the best person to contact to figure out, because I don't know my work schedule for the 19th off the top of my head, but who would be the best person to get in touch with to get on the
Dan,
agenda?
Guy sitting right here to my left.
Dan,
What's your name?
Dan Kent?
Dan Kent?
Yeah.
he's extremely powerful.
Son.
I'm sure.
My
Going
Uncle
right to the
Superman.
top of the city.
So,
You are?
so yeah, please contact me and then we can go from there. As well as, since that is also part of the Mashpee National Wildlife Refuge, I'm going to put you in contact with the Friends Group.
Okay.
Also has some information on that as well.
Sounds
I'm
good.
very interested in the
Wow.
whole project, so I do think it bears having you come and be on the agenda. That's a
Okay.
great suggestion, Mr. Chairman, so thank you. But how good of you
Carvo
to be
spot.
here and wait.
Thank you. And is your contact information on the city website?
Yep, it's
Okay.
just dkent@mashpeemass.com.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
super easy. Thank you.
Great, thank you so
Thank you all.
much.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing? Then I would,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you, Steve. We have a first.
Wait, I want to
Oh,
say.
I'm sorry.
I second that. She takes her second back.
And a second by Marjorie.
Oh, you want a second.
Make sure you spell that right, Brad.
Yeah, please. It's
Any
important.
further questions or discussion about leaving?
No?
Let me take a vote. Steve?
I think it's too early.
Yes, I'm so excited, yes.
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes. What's that?
I could think about my vote for the next 20 minutes or
You have
so.
turtle pictures?
I vote yes as well, so the meeting is adjourned at
Well, so the meeting's over,
7:15.
but I just want you to know.
So Dan, do we have any signatures? Or we have to?
7:15.
Our citizens.
I got just.
Of my